Hey guys, so this week we're talking about news stories that were overlooked by mainstream media. Uh, so I'll just get right into it for the three stories we had to look at. The first one was about Israel and them giving birth control to Ethiopian Jews without their consent. Um, I personally believe that this story didn't gain much traction in the mass media because there's already so much stuff going on with Israel, especially with the U.S. and Israel's relationship, that the story just wasn't big enough to get popular. But also, it could be for the reason that the U.S. just doesn't want to create more problems with Israel uh, regarding our relationship. I saw today that there was actually another news source or another article posted about our relationship with them regarding Iran and their nuclear problem, what's going on, how our views differ on that. Uh, I mean, other than that, this story seems legit. The source it's coming from, which was called The Independent, I mean, it seems legit. They seem to know what they were talking about. The story could have been more detailed, but it got the gist of what was going on. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty intense story. Like, that's you can't just like give people certain drugs without their consent. So yeah, I think that would be the only reason that it wouldn't get big is just because it's too hot politically right now. So yeah, the next story was called Dirty White Gold. It was talking about a big biotech corporation named Monsanto. Monsanto. Uh, and at first it was kind of talking about how they want to call themselves sustainable, but a lot of like their ideals and history kind of goes against that way of business, and also how there was a spike in farmer suicides through them. Uh, so I think that this story didn't gain traction because how big the corporation is. I'm pretty sure it's one of the biggest biotech corporations in the United States. So it's just too hot that way. It would probably offend other businesses, which is probably not a good thing. So we probably just decided to keep away from that. Also, the fact of the news source, which was called Al Jazeera, which is an Arabian news source. And I'm guessing the US doesn't want to trust right away stories, especially that are about the US, from other countries that are not. So maybe that will become popular eventually, but right now it just hasn't, probably for that reason. Um, the last story was talking about uh, today's technology in the US and how it is emitting copious amounts of radio frequency radiation. Uh, and how it's a pretty big health concern to Americans. This article seemed very legit. It was very well researched. There was a ton of sources after the article ended that just made it seem like it's totally believable. Everything seemed to be true, incredible. Um, the reason I think this story didn't get popular is because it's probably a little bit too complex for the average reader to fully understand. If you're just like reading the paper or sources online, there's a lot of information in it, and it was very complex, even for me. So, uh, yeah, I hate to say it, but it might get more popular if it was dumbed down, I guess. But also for the fact that I feel like I've seen a million articles about this same type of story with just like all of these radiation, whatever, just ton of it. from technology. I just feel like I've heard that 1,000 times. Uh, as for the news source it was coming from, at first it seemed a little bit sketchy, but like I said before, with all of the sources that it listed at the bottom of the page, it seemed legit. Uh, so I would assume that everything was correct with that. So yeah, I think that all three of these stories were just too hot or just too complex to become popular in the mainstream media. It's as simple as that. So yeah, cool. See you later. Thanks, guys.